There was once a little boy who discovered a tall, generous tree at the edge of his village. Every afternoon, when the sun softened and the air felt golden, he ran to it as if it were his closest friend. He climbed its sturdy trunk, swung from its branches, and laughed as the leaves rustled around him. The tree never stopped him. The boy would gather its fallen leaves to make crowns. He would carve tiny marks into its bark, proudly tracing his name as if claiming a kingdom. Sometimes he grew tired and lay against the trunk, listening to the quiet rhythm of the wind moving through the branches. And the tree simply stood there, strong, patient, and giving. It offered shade when the sun burned too hot. It offered fruit when the boy grew hungry. It offered silence when he just needed somewhere to be. To the boy, the tree was just part of his world, something constant, something expected. But to the tree, the boy was everything. And though it had no voice, no movement, no way to speak its devotion, it expressed love in the only way it knew how, by never complaining. As the years passed, the boy began to grow taller, and the tree no longer seemed as enormous as it once had. His visits became less frequent. School, friends, and distant dreams slowly pulled him away from the quiet field at the edge of the village. One afternoon, he returned, not to play, but to talk. He sat beneath the wide green canopy, his voice no longer filled with laughter, but with longing. "I want to see the world," he said. "I want to earn money. I want to become someone important." The tree listened. The wind moved softly through its bright leaves, casting shifting patterns of light across the young man's face. He spoke of cities, of opportunities, of a life bigger than this small place. The tree did not try to stop him. It did not remind him of the afternoons spent climbing its branches. It did not ask him to stay. It simply stood there, steady, patient, and silent. As the sun dipped lower, the young man rose to his feet. He touched the rough bark one last time, almost absent-mindedly. "I'll come back," he said. And then he walked away, chasing a horizon that always seemed just a little farther ahead. The tree remained, leaves glowing softly in the fading light. Years later, the young man returned. He no longer came to talk about dreams. He came with a problem. "I need money," he said, his voice restless. "I want to travel. I want to build something bigger, but I have nothing." The tree listened, just as it always had. Its emerald leaves shimmered softly in the warm afternoon light. "I have no money," the tree seemed to whisper through the wind, "but I can take my fruit, sell them in the market. Perhaps they will help you." The young man looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Without hesitation, he climbed the branches once more, but this time not for laughter. He gathered every piece of fruit he could reach, basket after basket, until the tree stood lighter, emptier. He did not notice the silence afterward. He did not see the branches sway more gently than before. He thanked the tree quickly and hurried away. And the tree remained, rooted, patient, and quietly giving. Many years passed before he returned again. This time, he did not come alone with dreams or restless ambition. He came carrying the weight of responsibility. "I need a house," he said quietly. "I want a place for my family. Something strong, something lasting." The tree stood taller than the man remembered, its emerald leaves glowing under the steady afternoon sun. "I have no house to give you," the tree seemed to murmur through the wind. "But you may take my branches. Build your home with them." The man hesitated, only for a moment. Then he began to cut. One branch after another fell to the ground. The sound echoed across the quiet field. Leaves scattered like fading memories of childhood laughter. When he finished, the tree looked smaller, lighter, different, but it did not complain. The man gathered the wood, satisfied with what he had gained. He did not look back as he walked away, and the tree remained, standing, though no longer whole. Years passed again. The man built his house. He built a name. He built a life filled with responsibilities and noise. But he did not return. Seasons changed around the tree. Spring painted its leaves bright emerald. Summer brought warm winds. Autumn carried golden light. Winter passed in quiet patience. The tree stood through it all. Sometimes children from the village played nearby, but none climbed its branches the way he once had. The tree no longer stretched as wide as before, yet it remained rooted, steady beneath the open sky. Time moved forward for everyone. For the man, life grew louder. For the tree, life grew quieter. And still, it waited. Decades later, the man returned once more. His hair had turned gray. His steps were slower now, heavier with time. "I'm tired," he said softly. "I want to go far away, somewhere quiet." The tree, now no more than a strong trunk rising from the earth, listened as it always had. "I have no branches left," the tree seemed to whisper through the wind. "But you may cut my trunk, build yourself a boat, sail wherever your heart wishes." The man nodded, and once again he took. When he left, only a stump remained. The boat carried him far from the village. He traveled across wide waters, built success in distant places, and gathered everything he once believed he needed. Wealth came. Recognition followed. His name meant something now. Yet in quiet moments, surrounded by noise and achievement, he felt a strange emptiness. The nights were longer than before. The sea was vast, but not comforting. He had gained the world he chased, but something gentle and familiar was missing. There was no shade above him, no rustling leaves in the wind, only silence that felt different. And for the first time, success did not feel like home. Years later, he returned. His hair was fully white now. His steps were slow, careful, almost fragile. The village looked smaller than he remembered. The field felt quieter. He walked toward the place where the great tree once stood. Only a simple stump remained. He stopped in front of it, his chest tightening with memory. There were no branches left to climb, no leaves to whisper in the wind. Just silence. He lowered himself slowly and sat upon the stump. For the first time in many years, he did not ask for anything. He simply stayed and felt something that had been missing all along. The wind moved gently across the empty field. He sat on the old stump, hands resting on his knees, breathing slowly. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about money, success, or time. He was thinking about the tree, about the shade it once gave him, about the fruit he once took without counting. His chest tightened, not from regret alone, but from understanding. The tree had given everything. and he had always asked for more. Tears rolled quietly down his wrinkled cheeks. "I was always in a hurry," he whispered, "but you were always patient." The sun dipped lower, wrapping the field in gold. And in that quiet glow, he finally understood. Love doesn't demand. It simply gives. The sky slowly turned from gold to deep blue. The air felt cooler, softer. He remained seated on the stump, but something inside him felt lighter. For the first time in his life, he wasn't chasing tomorrow. He was simply here. A small breeze passed through the field, and near the old stump, something tiny caught his eye. A fragile green sprout pushing gently through the soil. He stared at it in silence. Life, beginning again. Not from taking, not from rushing, but from giving back to the earth. A faint smile appeared on his face. He reached down, touching the soil carefully beside it. No grand words, no dramatic farewell, just quiet understanding. As the first stars appeared above him, he whispered softly, "It's your turn now." And the wind carried the blessing forward. As the night gently wrapped the field in silence, the old man remained still beside the tiny sprout. He once believed happiness meant achieving more, earning more, becoming more. But in the end, he learned something far greater. The tree had never asked for anything back. It simply gave: shade, fruit, shelter, love. And that quiet generosity was its greatest strength. We spend our lives climbing, building, chasing, and proving. Yet sometimes what truly matters is not how much we take from life, but how much we leave behind for others. Because love is not measured by possession, it is measured by presence. And the greatest legacy we can plant is kindness that continues to grow long after we are gone.